How's it going? Good.
Okay, and Julie's ready? Okay, great. Hi, Charles. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome to the 2026 Hilton Grand Vacations Tournament of Champions. Obviously, as a local resident, you know this course really well, and you've played this tournament a couple times. Could talk about this week and why you look forward to it every year.
Yeah, it's always a fun week. It's here in Lake Nona. This is my home course, so I live right here and play this course as often as I can. It's a beautiful course. I think our club here, they do a fantastic job, groundskeepers and all of those guys year round, making sure that we have a great experience. It's great that it's here in my backyard. I don't have to travel very far. Too bad. I tried to help with the weather, but I failed. So sorry for that. But yeah, a chance to think about this experience as getting a chance to, play the course in someone else's or play the game in someone else's field. Playing golf. It's not, of course, what I did for a living, but I get to walk around with the pros and watch them in action, watch them up close, and I always marvel at how effortless it looks to these professionals out there on the course, and I'm out there slapping it around. So it's always fun to be around that and just go out and have a great time. 4 days of golf. I'm coming off the football season, so I don't get to play as much as I would like to. So this will be a great 4 days for me to play.
Do you have any pairings you're hoping to see, any LPGA players or celebrities that you really enjoy playing with from the past?
Yeah, I've played, of course, with the number one golfer, Nelly Korda. I've played with her a couple of times. And so, again, another, pro that you get to play up close with and watch her perform. And just all around great player, great person. And so, other than that, other celebrities, I play with so many. I feel like I'm always paired up with Dwight Freeney somehow, but he always beats me. So you know what? Hopefully, I draw him again this week, and I can take him down. So I look forward to seeing him as well.
I know you said you don't get to golf much, obviously, during the football season, but does this get your competitive juices flowing? You still, as a former athlete, you want to win when you go out in any competition, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I treat it just like I did when I played, the game of football. When I went into the season, I always felt like I was going to win the championship. It didn't matter what kind of team we had. I always felt like, we're good enough to win. So I go into the week thinking I'm good enough to win. So I look forward to it. I'm just like, all of the other athletes out here. We're all competitive. We all want to put our best foot forward. Like I said, I play with Dwight, a few times, and he always, at the end of the 4 days, he always has more points than me, and I'm pretty PO'd about that. So hopefully I have a little get back this weekend.
Hi, Beth Ann with Golf
How you
Week.
doing?
How long have you lived here, and what's been your interaction with tour players, PGA and LPGA over the years? Anyone that you play a lot of golf with that lives here too?
Yeah, I've been here since 2011, so I've been here quite a while. And yeah, we have a bunch of people, around here, a bunch of players, all timers, greats, Annika. Our kids were friends growing up, or our friends growing up, and so I've been around here quite often. Henrik, Ian. I haven't played a lot of golf with those guys. I played 9 holes with Henrik one time. So, again, like I said, being next to the professionals and watch the way they play the game. Their striking and distance control and all of those things is quite impressive. So, yeah, this neighborhood, man, has afforded us with a lot of greats of the game.
And when did you get the golf bug?
Yeah, I started playing or really trying to play probably around 2017. So I'd been here a few years. I'd come out to the club and hang out, but was never really interested in playing. And there was a few members here that invited me out to play, and it was pretty embarrassing. And I didn't like being on that end of it, so I started playing a lot more and really paying attention to it and watching other golfers. And I bought all of the contraptions that people buy, wasted a lot of money. I don't think it helped as much as I would liked it to, but I did all of that. So I caught that bug, man, probably around 2017, 18, and been going ever since. And, the game is, I love the game. Any chance any chance that I get to get on the driving range or, get around in with some of the members here, I jump at it, because it's just a fun time to, try to get better at a game that you seem to never be able to perfect. No matter how great you play one day, the next day is totally different. No matter how the course looks one day, the next day is totally different, and it's all the same piece of land, but it plays so many different ways, and I just love that aspect of it. And again, just trying to get better at it and be respectable when I'm out there. So.
Charles, this is a tournament that has more applicants for these celebrity slots than there are slots. From your standpoint, what's your process to get into the field year after year?
You know what? I don't know how I got into the field, actually. I think you gotta somebody that knows somebody. I feel like that's the way it happened. And I know a couple of years ago I was asked. I think I was out in Tahoe the first time I played in Tahoe, and I met I think Mackenzie. I think I met Mackenzie, and she talked about playing in this tournament. And I'd played in Tahoe maybe once or twice before I met her, and I think it was some time passed before I got back in touch with her. But she was like, "Yeah, would you like to play?" And I think it wasn't played here at the time, and it was just about to come over here to our course. And I was like, "Yeah, man, I would love to do it." And that was my introduction to playing in this particular tournament. So, yeah, I don't think initially I went out looking to play in these tournaments because I wasn't playing a lot of golf. It wasn't my thing. And then once I started going out and going to the range and swinging it a little more, then these opportunities kind of started coming around. So that's how it happened.
Is it possible that because you're living here, that gives you a little bit of an inside to getting into the field?
Yeah, I guess it could have helped. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know. Maybe she thinks I'm handsome or something. I don't know. But yeah, I'm in, and I'm glad I'm in. And as long as they keep asking me to come back, I'm coming back.
Who's the best NFL player that you think you've played with in golf, former or current?
The best, probably Marshall Falk. I think it's probably the best one that I can think of offhand. Strong game, really smooth swing. Yeah, I mean, I was playing with him, and I was like, yeah, I gotta step my game up. This guy's he's way ahead of me. So I think, he's the one guy that I think of right now that, is really, really good golfer.
And how would you assess your game in terms of the best parts of your game, the parts that you work on the most?
Yeah, I'm on a driving range a lot. So I would say my drives usually work. And because I spend so much time on the range, I'm not on a chipping green probably as much as I should be. So my short game kind of lacks a little bit. I think I'm a natural putter, so I think I'm pretty good there. So I think it's all an intermediate game. So drives usually, they'll work for me. But then, when I get to my irons, and then, when you get to that 150 and in, sometimes it can get a little shaky. So I'm hoping. Like I said, I haven't played a lot, so I'm hoping I can put, a decent round together this weekend and again have a respectable game this weekend.
Charles, while we got you here, the Super Bowl's right around the corner. Any thoughts on the matchup between the Seahawks and Patriots?
Yeah, man, I really like the Seahawks. I think defensively, their front, they're built in a lot of ways the way that the Seahawks teams were built under Pete Carroll. The defense is strong up front, a strong front seven. Secondary is good with long defensive backs that play coverage, really well. Offensively, Sam Darnold is really doing his thing right now. We know the criticism that he's taken over the years as a player, but they have an outstanding receiver who will probably be Offensive Player of the Year this year. The running back, the name's escaping me right now, but
Kenneth Walker.
say it again.
Kenneth Walker.
Kenneth Walker, yeah, strong runner. Had to take on a little bit more of the load with Charbonnet being out last week. Outstanding player. And not to take anything away from New England because they're a well-coached team. I think they find themselves in a position where, sometimes you say they're maybe ahead of schedule a little bit, but they're in the game, so of course there's a chance. But I think Seahawks would be a little bit too much for them on Sunday, so I'd like the Seattle Seahawks to win the Super Bowl.
You're quite familiar with Big Ten football. What were your thoughts on the Indiana Hoosiers this year and that story?
Man, very impressive. Very impressive. When we think of Indiana, we don't think of them of being a national powerhouse and a national champion contender. When you look at that team, a lot's been made about, of course, the transfer portal and getting older guys in there and the average age and all of those sorts of things, which are true, but still at the end of the day, it comes down to coaching. And I think Coach Cignetti, he obviously put together a great staff. He's obviously very, confident in his abilities, and he told everybody what he was going to do. He was going to win, and he did it. And the team, watching him all season long, I couldn't buy into him. I just wouldn't allow myself to buy into Indiana. But the one thing that I noticed about their team all season long is that they were very physical. And if you're a physical team, you're always going to be in a game. Mendoza's a Heisman Trophy winner. He did a great job of navigating the entire season as a quarterback and being a leader of the team. And, just very impressed with what he was able to do in a short amount of time, 2 years. Made it to the playoffs once and then to win it the next year is quite impressive.
Speaking of coaching, what are your thoughts on Kyle Whittingham?
Yeah, you know what? Just a weird situation, of course, that went down to, get us to this point. And you never know, how the process is going to go. But I think that Ward did a great job of, making the best choice, with the people that he had available. He brings in a winning coach, a guy who, over the years, that he, he's had good teams. They've been a physical team, the teams that he's coached. He's going to be a disciplined guy, and I think it was a good hire for us. And I think most importantly, the big thing was going to be, who was he going to be able to retain? Were the guys initially going to buy into what he was selling? I think he did a great job of retaining players. I think he did a great job in the portal. Got some guys that I'm sure they recruited, before he left. Some guys that were committed to Utah that came over. And there's some other guys throughout the corner, throughout the portal, safeties, some defensive linemen, linebackers. And so, other than that, most importantly, the quarterback, Bryce Underwood, he's still there. So I think what he needed to do, he did. Put together a good staff from what I understand, the guys that, I've seen that he brought in, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. And so, I'm excited for it. I think he between Ward, between Kyle and his staff and keeping guys on board, I think we did about as good as we could possibly do.
Great. Thank you so much, Charles.
Yep,
We
thank you.
appreciate you being here.
Yep.